Hello everyone, this is Unbound Sage. Welcome to another Godforge video. Today I want to talk about imprints. I want to talk about where I kind of value them, how good are they going to be, and and kind of tweaks I want for the imprints, right? I think the imprint system is a very cool system. I can't wait to play with it, but I think it definitely needs some tweaks to work out. And so let's take the video and look into this. And what really caused me to talk about this video is Simon is talking about the draft mode. And he says, hey, imprints are going to be the reward, right? And he doesn't, it's all speculation. It's all not finalized, but there's twice now where he said, hey, you probably can earn some good rewards like imprints. And my first response was like, imprints suck, bro. Like, imprints suck. I don't want imprints. I want shards. Like, I want books. I don't want imprints. But then, after the second time he said it, I was like, well, maybe I should reconsider how I consider an imprint. And so I went through a scenario of like, okay, let's say that I get lucky, I do some pulls on the first day, spend some money, and I get Drac, and I'm like, okay, cool, got Dracula, feels good. And then I go play the draft mode, and let's say there's a 1% chance or a 5% chance to get a legendary imprint from the draft mode, and I do the hardest mode of the draft mode. I pop off, I hit a high score, whatever, and I hit the legendary shard, or I hit the legendary imprint, and I get a Dracula. Do you know how strong it is day one to get this imprint? It's crazy. This is crazy good on the alpha, especially if we can get some books into this, right? This is okay. All right, Dracula's kind of online. This was the awakening that kind of turned on Dracula. Like A1 Dracula is way different from A0 Dracula. And so I'm like, okay, maybe there are some some benefit. Maybe I've been underestimating imprints. And so I really narrowed it down to, I think a legendary imprint, think of it like a second champion. You pulled the second copy of the champion, right? And I value that. These awakenings are very, very good, right? Even getting the initiative and the divinity cost down is good, very good. And so I'm kind of thinking here, like, if you consider it like that, I value a random legendary imprint about as much as I do a sacred shard. I think that the yellow aether stones are going to be as much as a legendary imprint. So if you see that there is a reward for a legendary imprint, you should probably go for it as much as you would a legendary shard. And the main reasoning is the awakenings, right? When you get that hero, I mean, there's even these passives are incredible. Like this auto revive, even with the sleep, right? This is strictly the worst version than Hercules, but I mean, it's hard to find a better passive than this to put onto a hero, right? So they'll tweak these too. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe that is kind of good. Like so I'd say don't sleep on legendary imprints. I think legendary imprints are really good. And I think for like epic imprints, I am interested in them about as much as I'd say like a quarter of a sacred shard, right? So like four epic imprints is about as interesting as a sacred to me. So considering that the kind of the risk reward of like imprints can have the most value as awakenings, I think, and you're not guaranteed to have the champion of the imprint that you have, and their imprints might not work for your characters, and so that's why I rate about as much as a sacred, right? Let's talk about Horus then too, and I want to talk about Horus specifically for if there are universal imprints in the game. Universal imprints would be an imprint that could be used for any hero. I don't know if that would give you any passive or not. I imagine it would just be for a wildcard awakening. If it is for a wildcard awakening, I would probably say I would value a universal imprint about 10 sacreds minimum, probably even more. And like a universal legendary imprint or 10 sacred shards, I'm probably taking the imprint, honestly. Like, I don't know how many sacred shards you'd have to bribe me with to not take this, because there are characters like Horus in the game. Horus is an eternal legendary. He is, you know, and maybe the universal imprints will be locked by region. If they're locked by region, they're probably about as good. You know, if you have a character that cares about that like if you have a character from that realm that you really care about, it's 10 sacreds, because this Awakening 3 is nutty. It is not okay. This is, you know, I expect this to be changed, and especially if it's a wild card for passives. Every legendary imprint, every legendary universal imprint is just a Zeus imprint. It's 20% more damage to your entire team, right? Right, because that's Zeus's, right? It's 10 and then it doubles for Olympians. Oh no, sorry, it's 10% to your entire team and then 20% for Olympians. That's so good. Like, you can't overstate how busted this is. A free 10% on everybody, especially if your whole team is rocking this, if it stacks. In the alpha, it did not stack, but I could see that being a bug. So yeah, that's really, really good. Yeah, I would say legendary imprints, legendary universal imprints, or so a random legendary imprint. If the reward said that, I rate that about much as a sacred shard. And then universal legendary imprint is like 10 sacreds plus. Like, it is so valuable, you can't even put a price on it. Like, making progress towards that Heimdall passive, or the Heimdall A5 or the Horus A3, like, these characters, you know, starting with the big shield defense up protect. If you have this, you don't lose to blender teams. You just don't. Any offensive team you're laughing at. You know, they have to have specific tech to get around this, right? They're gonna have to strip this buff. They're gonna have to have a way to deal with the shield, because with the shield and defense up, they synergize so well together. It's crazy, and especially under reflecting debuffs as well. Like, A5 Heimdall is a very, very different beast, and so making progress toward that, you know, it is a high cost, and it's more valuable than sacred shards. So just consider that, right? Imprints, legendary imprints are really, really good. Anyway, now I want to talk about imprint balancing. And to do that, we're going to talk about this thing called a power budget. So this is ASAG here, right? ASAG was a character not really used in the alpha. I like the way he looks. I love the weird looking dudes, right? I love this, these kind of like runes etched in with the lava glowing. But I never really found a reason to use him in the alpha. But now that I'm reading his kit, I think I'd be very happy to pull this guy early in my account. If I do pull him away, he's going to 5-star for sure. He might even go to 6-star if I need that damage dealing brawler. And the reason why is, when we talk about power budget, basically when the design team is making a character, they have an idea of how strong they want characters to be, right? So rares, they might have like $100 to work with. Epics might have like $200 to work with, and then legendaries have like $350 or $400 to work with, right? And I'm just pulling this out of nowhere, right? But this is just a good way to think about it. And if you buy something that is in tandem with your class, you kind of get a discount. So since, you know, ASAG has pretty high HP, right, relative to his rarity as well, he didn't pay a lot for that, right? He may have paid $5-10, right? Yeah, he has good stats, you know, good resistance for his class as well. Resistance in brawlers, that's probably about on par, you know. So you maybe paid like $15 for his stats, right? Because he has very brawler-esque stats, right? Slow with high HP, low defense. Okay, so he didn't pay much for his stats, but his kit is really good. Like the basic through ultimate, there are going to be scenarios where you ult with him. You get Petrify on like 3 characters, and this is going to feel like a Zeus passive. This is going to feel like a Zeus A1, where you're going to smack these petrified guys. You're going to do 50% more damage, and your brawler is going to feel like Zeus, a discount Zeus, right? This hurts. this is good. You know, it's not gonna be doing, this does not do Zeus level of damage, but you know, it's like 75% of Zeus's damage, but 75% of the best damage dealer in the game on a brawler. That's pretty good, right? Especially on a rare. And then, you know, this guy, this absolutely slaps as well, plus a heal. So you have a high damage attack that has a heal on it as well if you critical. Yeah, this kit kind of synergizes really well with each other, right? And so this is where all of his power budget is, right? So let's say he paid 80 bucks for his kit to work out, right? So you know, paid 15 here, 80 here, he had $5 left. And so, you know, the designers were like, well, he needs a passive, right? He's a rare. And so they gave him a $5 passive. 25% or 20% chance to land Blaze 2 for 1 turn. This passive sucks. But, you know, it's attached to a pretty good kit. You know, if you made his passive good, he'd be an epic, right? It's too much power. And so I think that this passive makes sense for the kit, right? Makes sense, it's not that strong. But then you have an imprint that's half of a passive. But you have an imprint that's half of a $5 passive, right? This is $2. This is $2. This is a $2 passive. This is $2 imprint. No one's using this. No one's using a $2 imprint. Period. End of story. You know, even Raw doesn't care about this imprint. Raw really likes burns. Raw really likes blazes, and you're not even putting this on Raw. I would rather, if I pull my 7th ASAG and I have him fully ascended, right, and I have, you know, he's a 3-star chicken. Like, I'd rather have a 3-star chicken and an empty imprint on a weapon than this terrible imprint. That's just how it is, right? And so compare that to Assaulde, this is a $20 passive. This might be a $30 passive. This is a nice passive. I feel like add a little bit like, oh, Assaulte's got a nice passive, you know? And then when you half this is still a $10, $15 passive, right? This is really good. And so what I would say that I would like to see is characters who their power budget is not in their passive, and that's fine. I would like to see their passive or their imprint be their passive, or even buffed, right? I think that it would be okay if this imprint said 20% chance to do burn 2 for 2 turns. Even it's even better, or 40% chance to do blaze 2 for 1 turn, right? I think that's, you know, that makes it a $10 imprint to match Assaulte's $10 imprint, right? It's not fair that more of her power budget went to her passive, so her imprint's better, when ASAG's power budget did not go to his passive, so his imprint's unusable. And so I would like to see imprints of weaker passives to either be the same as the passive or buff it. Like, you know, like make it a $10 imprint. Make these competitive. Make my Raw care about this. 40% chance to play Blaze 1 on 1 turn. Yeah, my Raw's, oh yeah, that's going on Raw, right? Until I get something better. Like, but I feel very happy putting that on Raw. So, and then the last thing I want to talk about here is people like Minotaur. This passive here is pretty all right on Minotaur. Increase your chance at full divinity, so you're basically trading. You're trading in your ultimate for the ability for stronger hits. I don't know how this interacts with weak hits, to be honest with you. But, you know, if this can negate weak hits, this is really good, right? So I wonder if you're at full divinity, if, you know, if you're attacking into a wisdom character, if it just cancels out, right? At Awakening 5, you have a 5% chance per bleed target. I'm pretty sure that means when he's attacking a cunning character at max bleed stacks, he's always strong hits. That's really good. And I think characters that have Awakenings on their passive, I would be interested if it would be okay to attach a weaker form of this onto the imprint. And by weaker, I mean significantly weaker. Like, increase the chance of strong hit by 10% at full divinity increase the chance by 1% per bleed on the target, right? I'm interested, right? I'm interested if that's something that is, you know, I feel less about this, but I really want to put this on Beowulf, right? Like that imprint seems very interesting on Beowulf, because Beowulf makes it where strong hits do 1% of the max HP, right? Or 2% against bosses. That's really cool. I would be interested in trading in my ultimate to increase my chance to strong hit. And especially if I can bring in like him and Dracula. So Dracula stacks bleeds, and then, you know, I get like a weaker version of this, and I have 20% more chance to strong hit. You know, but right now, this is not enough to put this on Beowulf, who really cares about strong hits. And so I know it's a rare imprint, but like, I don't want rare imprints to be useless. I want them to be, I use them until my account is like mid game, where I can start chewing up some epics, or I pulled a legendary imprint that I don't have the hero for. So that's my thought on imprints, right? Kind of a long video, but you know, I have a lot of thoughts about it. Anyway, guys, I would like to know what you guys think about imprints below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And when you're commenting, comment about imprints, because you know, I want to know how much you guys value imprints at, right? So take care, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.